excited to be here. I'm Nathan Schulte.
I'm Isaac Logeman.
Oh,
wow, this is awkward.
A little bit of a competition
I've
here.
always said my name third, and today I was feeling a little confident. I'm sorry, Dirk. I will back off. You can go first.
Yes, good call. Dirk?
I'm Dirk Umbenhauer.
And I'm Isaac Logeman.
As you always will be. And we are very excited to be here this week because, well, to be quite frank, Dirk and Isaac, it's an exciting week for us Vikings fans. And, you know, it's a really good week for us to prove to the world that we're not some dumping ground in the playoffs. We are truly a contender when we make it.
No, yes, you are absolutely right. This is the biggest Vikings football game in 8 years, I would say. I'd say even bigger than the wild card game, because this time around, unlike 2015 where we knew, it'd be cute if we won a game, and then, you know, we don't
It would
really
have
have
just
a
been
shot
nice to get some playoff experience under Teddy Bridgewater and
Right.
Mike Zimmer as a head coach. Of course, Mike Zimmer, very old coach, has lots of experience and was a coach for a team that won the Super Bowl. So you can't necessarily say he's inexperienced in the playoffs. Maybe as a head coach. But
Right. But this time around, we have actual hope, actual contention to be the Super Bowl. Vegas has the second most odds to win the Super Bowl, only behind the New England Patriots. And it would be an understatement to say I'm excited.
Well, and really, in our lifetime, we're fairly young. This is kind of the second best opportunity we've been old enough to really, care about. So this isn't coming on that often.
Yes.
And
this after the 2009 season. But I would argue that we should probably be more excited about this NFC Championship game, should we make it, than we should have been about that game.
Well, what's interesting with this NFC Championship game is we will know today what our game will be if we win tomorrow. Because the Eagles and the Falcons play today. So
Yes,
if the
go Falcons.
If the Falcons win, we can play knowing if we win the game, we're home against the Falcons. And if the Eagles win, at least we know still that if we win, we're going for a tough game.
And you know what? If the Eagles win, then at least we know we get to play a trash team next week. So
that's true.
That's true.
We have that going for us.
Nick Foles is not good
quarterback.
against good defenses, at least in recent history.
I think
And their defense is way overrated.
I think
all
Atlanta,
they do is blitz and have big personality.
I think Atlanta, especially after coming off that win against Los Angeles, they win by about 2 touchdowns today in Philadelphia.
I could definitely see Atlanta absolutely just destroying
I
them.
think it'll be closer than
I
people
don't
are
think
thinking.
so.
I think because hear me out. Nick Foles has he's not been a good quarterback this year, but he has shown that he can be a good quarterback. What year was that? Was that
13 or 14, yeah.
He had like 27 touchdowns to a very few amount of picks. So kind of like Case Keenum this year, he broke out for a year. Hopefully Case Keenum is a little better case of a more productive career. But Nick Foles is showing that in the right situation, he can do all right. So I think that come playoff time today, I think it'll be a close game. I do think the Falcons will pull it out, but I don't think it'll be this big blowout.
I would like to make a point about that quick. You mentioned right situation. I would argue that he is in no way in the right situation right now.
Why do you say that?
Because, first of all, Nick Foles is really kind of a pocket passer. His offensive line has honestly been struggling a little bit after they lost their left tackle, Jason Peters. And so he has had trouble getting out, getting comfortable, and he's just been having trouble getting fit in this offense, and we've seen it multiple weeks now. And I don't have any faith in the Eagles to pull out any sort of good game against the Falcons.
I would say the X factor in this game is the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are from Georgia, and here's why. Because we know Georgia football teams from Georgia get up to big leads and then they blow it. They always have that tendency, and it was proven earlier this week. It could very well strike again.
I can't use that as evidence.
Okay.
But
I was just saying one example, because I think the Falcons are going to win
It's happened now
this.
2 times.
2 times in the past 12 months,
Yeah.
actually. But last thing about Foles, with the right situation, I think in this game, in this situation, he's been with the team for 4 weeks he's been playing as a starter? Or is it 3? It's 4, I think. And so, think of Case this year when he was in his 4th game. Certainly, he was doing better than Nick was now. But we didn't think he was going to have a great year. So all I'm saying is Nick Foles doesn't need to kill this game because they have strong personnel. They've got a good running back core. If Jay Ajayi has a good game, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to say that game turns out like 31, 24, 27.
I could not disagree with you more, but we will move on because that's not what we're here to talk about.
That is true.
So hopefully we're playing the Falcons at home next week. I think that's what we're all rooting for. But we need to talk about this upcoming game against the Saints. Lots of new articles and all this talk about how do you do and who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. Is Case Keenum up to the task of playing in the playoffs? Because God knows the game of football goes away in the playoffs, and now we're playing basketball. And can Case Keenum play basketball? That's the question, right, Dirk?
Well, basically, Nathan, because what you're saying is what everyone's been saying all week. How's Case Keenum going to handle his first playoff start? And while it is definitely, I think, I would agree more that it is a factor, the first playoff start, I would say results have shown less than what
people make it out to
even
be.
There's results for both sides of the argument. Dak Prescott last year lost his first playoff game.
But you could argue that really wasn't his fault. I mean, the defense blew it hard, and Dak Prescott made some amazing throws in that game, especially considering the fact that Ezekiel Elliott was not having that great a game, and he actually kept them in that.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple examples, I think. I mean, Matt Ryan, I'm very certain lost his first playoff start. There's a few others, but there's also examples of people who won their first playoff starts. Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, list goes on. So there's evidence of both to happen where it might neutralize itself out as could be a factor in the end, but it could not be. It all depends on how Case Keenum handles it mentally.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. For our case, in this game, Drew Brees and Case Keenum, the two quarterbacks, I don't think it'll play that much, but the experience does factor in, and I think it'll mostly show itself in the beginning of the game because Drew Brees has been in this environment before, so I think he'll go in right away. And also, they played last week, so he's kind of gotten through that little hump of okay, it's the playoffs. Whereas I think right away, Case Keenum needs to make sure that he's calmed down, that because he's an excitable quarterback, he can get emotional, and we've heard Meg Zimmer say, I have to kind of calm him down. So I just think that we need to make sure Case Keenum in this first quarter tomorrow is doing his best to stay calm and not forcing any throws because we don't need to jump out to he doesn't need to try to jump out to a big lead. If we can just get a score in the first quarter, that'd be great. And I think we're in good shape. So I just think we need to be careful right away, and that's where the experience is going to show up.
I think that Case Keenum has been very, very under control in the last few weeks. I think ever since that Redskins game, he knows how to play within himself and how to play his game plan and the Vikings game plan to get those early scores, to get us out to that early lead, which we really like to play with. Mm-hmm. And Isaac mentions Drew Brees, and he got off to a hot start, but that was at home. We don't even know what U.S. Bank Stadium's like is going to be like during the playoffs because we have never played there during the playoffs. I have a feeling it's going to be insane, and I think the Saints' first drive on offense, you're going to see a lot of miscues. You're going to see a lot of maybe even the wrong routes run.
False starts, like I see.
False starts. Especially with a new left guard, things could be rough for them. And Drew Brees, given all his playoff experience, has never really been that exceptional on the road compared to how he plays in the Superdome.
That is very true.
Yeah,
it'll be I think it'll be a raucous environment.
I know if I was there, I would
crazy.
be. If I was there, I would not have a voice maybe by halftime.
Probably, I wouldn't.
I would bring a horn. I'd bring a whistle. I'd be like.
And
all right.
The Vikings are going to pull out all the stops with their in-game elements. I was looking at it. They haven't announced who's blowing the gall horn tomorrow, so that'll be kind of interesting to see who they bring in.
The yellow horn.
But they've got a halftime show, which will be kind of fun, and they've got all of their graphics on the side for third down, which we, as we know,
awesome.
are the best in history on
they
third
are
down.
So cool.
And I think we're gonna just smack Drew in the face on third down. I mean, I think
Everson Griffin
we're just gonna
is going to sack him.
I think personally the first offensive play for the Minnesota Vikings should be go a deep pass. And here's why. We have held Case Keenum back in a more conservative offensive game plan for the past 3 weeks. Saints might come out defensively thinking, okay, they're going to throw some short throws, run the ball. I think if we threw a deep one on them first play of the game, I don't know if they'd be ready for it. I think that also would get their attention even if it wasn't incomplete passive. Oh, they're letting Case Keenum throw deep again.
Yeah, that would be good. And like I talked about last week, we have definitely seen kind of a suppressed Vikings game plan for these last 3 teams, which were very, very easy to beat, which is, I think, why we saw the suppressed game plan. You don't show your tricks in these games that you really just need a win, and that's about it. And so what the Vikings came out and did is they took care of business. They show these teams, hey, we're not even showing you our best plays, and we can still just pound you with our run game and our short pass game. And imagine when Pat Schumer, he's sat down all week. He's had some coaching interviews, obviously, but he is also been designing some of his new plays, his famous plays. That'll be great in the red zone, and that will be great just in general down the field as we try to get some more chunk plays and whatnot.
And I think with that first play Dirk saying, maybe a long pass, and also just in general, a big thing to watch in this game is our wide receiver versus their cornerbacks. Obviously, Marshawn Lattimore's having a great year, and I don't know who he's going to line up against. It could be Thielen or Diggs. It could shift. But I think a real test will be, the other one versus their second cornerback. And just seeing, maybe on that first play even, like Dirk's saying, send Diggs and Thielen on double moves right away. And if the guy on Marshawn Lattimore is open, just get a pass him right away to show that we're not scared of their cornerbacks.
One thing
that'll be interesting.
One thing that could be huge is getting that rookie in his head right away. I mean, if we can start beating him right away and he gets in his head and he can't play his game, that would be great. I mean, we give him a lot of credit this year. He's had a good season, but Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are experienced and great route runners. And great route runners can beat almost any quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you look at they played Josh Norman earlier. I mean, he looked like a joke compared to Adam Thielen. He was on Adam Thielen for a good portion of the day and Stephon Diggs, and they both burned him. They burned him bad. He looked slow.
And while that will be the most interesting part of the game, I think, and right away we can try it, what we need to do, maybe the most important thing, is the run game has to get moving. I think if we can't get a run game going, it's going to be tough to win. I saw some stat yesterday while I was watching SportsCenter that when we've had 30-plus runs in a game, we're 13-0. So
that means that we've had
our 3 losses when we had less than 30 runs. Exactly. So I think it just shows that we don't need a dominant run game, but we just need enough run that they aren't just selling out or they aren't just disregarding the run.
I'm going to say I'm not so worried about our run game this week because the Saints don't have the best running defense. I would be more worried about our run game next week because both the Falcons and the Eagles have slightly more improved running defenses. Obviously, the Eagles with the better one. They have the really good front four.
See, Nathan, I disagree. And I don't know this as well, but if you're right that the Saints don't have the better run defense, I think it's important then that we're really buying into that.
Well,
and
no,
I'm
not saying it's not important. I'm just not worried that we're not going to get the run.
Okay,
game.
I understand.
I say we're going to get it going.
All right,
without issue.
I think something that's very important would be New Orleans is coming in, especially defensively. New Orleans is coming in super confident. They're super loose would be the word I'd say. The dancing video of them all dancing in the locker room after beating the Panthers. So if you're the Vikings, I think it's key to smash them right in the mouth first couple plays of the game. Like, say Kamara kicks the handoff, just have Kendricks or Harrison Smith come up on a safety blitz and level up.
Just lay him out.
Because, I mean,
even a Linval Joseph like we saw against that Redskins guy. I don't even remember who that was, but remember that play where Linval comes up and just bang.
Because Drew Brees is Drew Brees is a veteran, but besides that, they don't really have playoff experience on the roster besides the quarterback. So I think if you hit the young guys in the mouth right away, for say on defense and offense as well, I think you get a lot of confidence going down in the Saints team. And while they do have a veteran there to try to get them back, I don't know if that's going to work, especially.
I think the best thing that can happen for us too is the Saints come in here arrogant. If they come in here arrogant, thinking we got this, I think that could do wonders for the Vikings because they might give up some of their looks. They might be too excited at first, and so I don't know.
And you know what's kind of cool is it's finally happening. This week it's finally here. If we win this game, and if we win this game by a good margin, we will finally have the due respect we earn. No one's going to question us if we win this game.
Well,
so
I could definitely see a situation where we win this game and the Falcons are coming to us at home where we actually beat them in their home stadium, but now they're coming to us just like 5 weeks after we beat them in their home stadium. They're coming to us, and now they're the favorite coming into our home stadium because, they're hot. And Mount Ryan was the MVP last year, and he has playoff experience. And I could actually see that happening.
That's fair. But all I'm saying is that this is a big game. I don't think they will
hype on the Vikings.
And the Saints, we can't deny the Saints are a good team right now. And winning this game will probably be tougher than winning next week.
I think, personally, I would just rather have us win. I think the fan base wants to see a revenge game because this entire week I've had visions of Brett Favre throwing an interception in my head when I think Vikings Saints.
Yes.
I want that memory to be replaced.
Yeah, now, one comment on the defensive side. You were mentioning that we want to smack Drew Brees in the mouth and get some sacks. We really haven't been a sack-heavy team, especially as of late. And we had that really strong beginning where Everson Griffin got one every week, it seemed. Well, he did for 8 weeks. And the last few weeks we haven't gotten it all. But I think that's almost intentional. I mean,
Yeah.
the Steelers led the league with 55 sacks. And they weren't a stellar defense. I think our goal has been to contain that pocket, to control the pocket, give pressure to the quarterback, but not sell out on these sacks, especially mobile quarterbacks. Now Drew Brees not being as mobile, I think we might see a few sacks here. But it's interesting to note that we don't necessarily, while sacks are exciting and fun, that's not necessarily always the best thing to go for every play.
The Vikings don't have a selfish defensive line group. In fact, they preach continuity, and they have a certain way that they rush. And Mike Zimmer always talks about every week how he has to put together their rush plan, their pass rush plan, how they're going to pass rush, whether they want to contain or whether they want to go for sacks, and different moves they're going to do to maybe try to create sacks. But I think they've definitely been playing more conservative as of late in terms of the pass game. We played some more mobile quarterbacks. I mean, you look at Brett Hundley, Mitch Trubisky. So those aren't quarterbacks necessarily that you're looking to sack because they're maybe harder to get down, but more quarterbacks you're looking to pressure and make them make a mistake.
Yeah, I think that would be big. I'm just going to say something. I had something on my.
Well,
I think Rhodes matches up very well with Michael Thomas. Yep. I think Rhodes matches very well with Michael Thomas. They have about the same athleticism, same height, same skill set. I mean, Rhodes is a tough matchup for anyone, but I think we drew the perfect coverage here with Rhodes on Thomas. I think that Rhodes is the only corner in the NFC playoffs if the remaining teams that could shut down Michael Thomas. And Rhodes turns it up against top-notch wide receivers, and I don't see why he would do anything different against Michael Thomas.
That is a good point, Dirk.
And also on defense, combining that element with this element of our defensive line, I think pressuring the quarterback and having strong cornerback play is going to be important because I think the turnover battle could turn this game. I think if we have more turnovers than they do, like if we get more turnovers, I think it's absolutely a win. So if we can really give pressure there and force Drew Brees to throw a ball where he doesn't really have the window to throw it and get a pick, it's going to be big time. So I'm really looking at that turnover battle there to see, even if we lose one, maybe we can get two. If we can win the turnover battle, I think we win the game for sure.
Yeah, we have not been a huge turnover team this year. Another reason why a lot of people might be sleeping on our defense because they're just very solid. They play the way you should play, and they have not been getting huge turnovers, with the exception of Harrison Smith, who's had a huge year for interception. But
not good enough for Pro Bowl.
No, obviously not.
No.
Come on,
doesn't matter though, because if we win the next two games, none of our guys are going anyway.
Yeah, but I could see us getting some more turnovers this game. Possibly an Everson Griffin strip sack again.
Oh.
Maybe an Everson Griffin pick six. I don't know. I could definitely see a turnover in this game, but I'm not going to say we need it to win, though.
I remember the last time the Vikings played in the divisional round and we played the Cowboys and we completely smacked Tony Romo in Dallas. And kind of a situation that
When was this?
2009.
Okay. Yep.
It was kind of a situation similar to this in which the Cowboys came in and people were like, the Cowboys are hot, the Cowboys have this, Cowboys should win this, and then the Vikings just stomped them. I get a feeling it'll probably be closer, but I also get the same feeling it could be like that. But I think you're right, Nathan. I think if we turned over Breeze, their first offensive possession of the game, I think that would be big in terms of momentum and the Saints could obviously. But in terms of, I think the Saints, there had been a lot of playoff games history where a team turns the ball over first possession and they spiral out of control, especially on the road. I could see that happening on the road.
And I'm looking for Eric Kendricks to get a pick because, as we know, when Eric Kendricks gets a pick, he gets a touchdown. So, if he gets his hand on that ball, he's gone. 2 for 2 on picks in his career.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think someone said something that made me think of this. I heard someone talking this week about how people tend to forget about the divisional round teams because the people in the wild card are coming off a win. So people might be more excited about them, but they forget that the people in the divisional rounds are there for a reason because they were very good during the regular season. And so I think people have a tendency to maybe underestimate those teams and the power that they have.
And like I said earlier, I think the only advantage that you see from those wild card teams comes right away in maybe the first quarter, just in that they already have their playoff momentum going, and it takes a little bit for the divisional round teams to kind of settle in. But that's not actually necessarily the case, but it could be. So hopefully we can just get going right away. But what I love about this matchup is it's just an exciting game. I think the Rams, how we played them, it's just not as exciting. There's not as much to talk about. We've already beaten them pretty strongly. This game was a long time ago we played them, so there's a lot to talk about. They're both strong teams. I'm not gonna undersell the Saints here. They're coming in hot, and it's gonna be a good game no matter what. So I'm glad that we have an exciting game right here, and it should be a fun one to watch this week.
Could be a blowout. I could see that. We need to talk for a little bit about the injury report, something that certainly we were a little concerned about. Maybe going to week 17, not that bad. It was just kind of at the point where, we were like, we really need to get this bye just to get a few more people healthy. Only one really big, maybe 3 big season injuries this year. Dalvin Cook, who would have been really cool to see all year. Yeah. I think he definitely would have been a 1,000-yard rusher, maybe even a 1,000-yard receiving running back. I mean, he started.
What?
Seriously, he started out.
I'll take 1,000-yard rushing and move on. Just move forward.
Maybe even 1,000-yard receiving. He was starting to get really good as a receiving back, and he was turning into a true 3-down back for the Vikings.
2,000 yards from line of scrimmage is pretty intense.
I mean, he was looking very good. And it's sad to see him go down. Sam Bradford had a good game, obviously, against the team we're going to play, and so we lost him for the year, but we've had good play out of Case Keenum, so it's hard to say whether we would have done as well with Sam Bradford because of some of the mobility that Case Keenum has shown us this season that has really kind of won us some games. And then third guy was Nick Eason, our left guard, who we lost for the rest of the season with a calf injury. He had to be put on injury reserve. And other than that, no really big injuries, unless I'm missing one. I guess you could still throw Teddy Bridgewater into the mix, but I mean, he came back and now he's just on the bench, so I don't really know if you can.
He had a great year. What was he, 0-for-1 on the pick?
Okay, well, I'm not going to throw out the possibility that he will be in the run for a starter next year.
Oh, yeah, I think it works to be a really interesting offseason, but that's why I'm not really thinking about that right now, and I'm waiting for these games here.
All right, well, the big news ahead of Chicago, Pat Elflein was out with a shoulder injury, and Shamar Stephen, our defensive tackle who comes in on third down sometimes, he was out, and so was Tremaine Brock, who, I mean, no real big loss there. I think the only time we heard his name was when he gave up a touchdown to Deshaun Jackson in the Buccaneers game. So that's what we know about that, but ahead of this week, I think the only really person who was on the injury report was Terrence Newman. So that's good because we were worried about Kyle Rudolph. He was dealing with an injury. Xavier Rhodes was kind of on and off dealing with something, and it's good to know that Pat Elflein not on the injury report. Shamar Stephen was not on the injury report. Tremaine Brock was not on the injury report. And so Pat Elflein, who's been anchoring our line all year, he's finally getting back and healthy, and that's really good for us.
That line is important for us.
The line is huge, and he has been a great leader on that line. And then it's great to know that Kyle Rudolph and Xavier Rhodes are finally getting fully back healthy, so we can maybe stop worrying about that quite as much. So it looks like, injury-wise, we might not be dealing with quite as much this game.
Yeah, and I think we should be healthy. And a lot of these things have been kind of just nagging injuries, nothing major, like we said, except for those few that we mentioned. So with playoff adrenaline and momentum, I think we're going to see our guys playing at the top of their game, and injuries shouldn't be too much of a factor unless new ones pop up. But I would say one of the most interesting things related to injury report coming out this morning was Sam Bradford was activated off the injury reserve.
Yeah, Sam Bradford, he might even be the backup for Case Keenum, and I have to say, you really can't find much better of a backup than Sam Bradford, a guy who set a record in the NFL for completion percentage.
Which is now gone.
Well, he lost it to Drew Brees this season, but he had that one glorious offseason where he could say, I have an NFL record.
To be fair, Drew Brees deserves that for all time. Yeah. He's a very, very accurate quarterback. But I want to see this week, I want to see the most wild play in playoff history where we have Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, all on the field at the same time.
Yeah, you keep talking about
Lots of laterals going on. Who's going to pass the ball? Who's going to throw it? Who's going to be there?
Who's going to get
Boom!
tackled for the 10-yard
touchdown.
loss?
I don't understand what the
It
possible
would be the
game.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It would not be. I don't
we'd probably
understand
get
what
tackled for a
possibly
10-yard
could be a
loss.
game.
Oh, but it'd be
Jordan.
so funny.
Maybe
would it
if the
not?
three quarterbacks were all Russell Wilson, then maybe that would be exciting because he could run and catch the ball.
That's true.
You know
But,
what?
like,
if we're up by 30, let's try it.
I don't understand what would be exciting about that. Like, what you basically have is three people who can throw the ball all equally well, and then you have like one receiver downfield for them to throw it to because the other two are quarterbacks. So
it'd be
like,
so fun.
No, it would
So
be
fun.
it would be horrifying. Like
Okay.
I don't understand what the possible gain of that play would be.
Hey, Pat Turner, he'll write something up. I'm telling you.
He could. All right. Well, we're talking about injuries. Maybe not much for the Vikings, but New Orleans Saints, they lost their all-star offensive guard Andrews Pete, who was really key for them in the run game. So, New Orleans, that bites. And then they lost Tony McDaniel, a defensive tackle. He's on the injury reserve. And then we're talking about Brandon Coleman, who is out. One of their, third-string wide receivers. Kind of like
so.
if we lost Laquan Treadwell or Jarius Wright. But maybe...
Except for Brandon Coleman is more used in their offense.
Okay, so that's good. You know, we want people they use to be out. And then Michael Mauti, a linebacker for them, he's questionable. I don't know.
Starting safety on IR too, don't they? Kenny Vaccaro?
That could have been a while ago. It's not listed on their injury report this week.
Yeah.
So that's the big news in injuries. But I'm not too worried about injuries for the Vikings. I really hope that we continue to have good fortune with that.
Well, we've talked about this game a lot. So, Isaac, you have any nice words?
Yes, I do, Joe.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get excited for that. It's time for Nice Words with Isaac. And now it's time for Nice Words with Isaac.
Well, I have to say, I'm pretty excited for this week's Nice Words. And, you know, I'm kind of getting now. I don't think this individual has received a Nice Words segment this year because I would not want to do that. That's unfair to the rest of the teammates. But this man, who I'm going to choose this week for my Nice Words segment to talk about, is probably top of the NFL in this position. He is an incredible competitor. Week in and week out, he comes and does his job. He does not get hurt very often. He consistently plays. He's in games. He is a game wrecker, a game stopper, and he does not get the recognition he deserves, and for no reason. So this week, my Nice Words has to go to arguably the anchor of our defense, Harrison Smith.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Eric Kendricks.
Now, why would you have thought that?
Well, because
Would you call him
Harrison
the anchor
Smith
of our
was
defense?
just voted first team All-Pro, and you said no recognition, so I was confused.
Well, give me a second here.
Okay.
All right? Yes, he gets recognition. But as we all know, probably the snub of the season in the Pro Bowl, as we mentioned earlier. And that's what I'm talking about, where he gets recognition. And also, he is not a household name, despite being one of the best defenders in the league. He has had an incredible year. We know he's had 5 picks. He's had even a couple sacks, several tackles. But just in general, he has such good awareness on the field. He knows what's going on at all times. And when you watch film of this guy, you can just see his thought process is uncomparable to other players on our team and other teams. Without him, I think we wouldn't look the same on defense. We wouldn't have the same strength because he knows what's going on, and he helps back up all of our other players and makes them look better. So he truly elevates our defense to another level. And with the whole recognition thing, it was just insane that he was not selected to the Pro Bowl. And that is odd to me, but also what I think it is and why I kind of like it is Harrison Smith is not the biggest personality you'll see. And that's why I really respect him. He goes out there and he is ferocious, and he comes off and he's kind of a quiet guy, doesn't talk too much. He's not notable. And that's partially why I think as in general our defense isn't seen in the same way as like the Legion of Boom. You think of Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, yes, great player. He's fantastic, but he is such a loudmouth. He is such a big talker, and so everyone writes reports on him. He's like LeVar Ball. He doesn't stop talking, especially when he's at the top of his game. And so every week you're getting these new articles on him, and he is a household name for sure. Whereas our defense is full of a lot of guys that are really good, but they aren't really trash talkers. We don't go out and just make crazy statements. We don't go out there and create headlines except through our play. And that's why I really respect this defense, and in particular Harrison Smith. And I look for Harrison Smith to probably be one of the biggest factors in our playoff run here, from being a great player this year, and he even put himself in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Will he win it? Probably not, but he certainly has made himself a candidate. And so it was exciting to watch this year, and he's going to continue to be an incredible player for years to come.
Yeah, and you talk about the building of a team, and there's multiple ways you can do it, just picking the best players. But Rick Spielman, who, of course, was just voted Executive of the Year by some magazine.
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, something like that.
Someone who's really important, and he's just voted Executive of the Year. He has a certain way he likes to build his teams, and he looks for people who have the right character, the right attitude, who are going to stay dedicated to the team, and that's why we see such team-friendly deals coming to the Vikings, and so many of the people they keep signing, because they're getting the right people that we want, that are going to fit with our identity as the Minnesota Vikings, and I think it's going to create a sustainable like good for years to come here at the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, I think and with that, I think we should get into our predictions.
Okay,
Should be time.
all right, Dirk, would you like to go?
No bad play of the week because
We didn't have
we got to buy.
We got to buy.
We gotta buy.
Speaking of the bye, just quick comment. That was the hardest week of my life. I've been so antsy for the Vikings to play. I just can't wait.
Honestly, I didn't even feel it when the bye was happening, but like as we get close to the game now, it's like, wow, I really, really want to watch the Vikings.
I'm
It's so
nervous
bad.
now.
One day.
But we talked about Harrison Smith a lot today. My bold prediction. First, Drew Brees' pass is a Harrison Smith pick 6 to the end zone.
Holy cow!
The stadium will be rocking so much, the camera will be rocking, the actual stadium will be rocking.
If that actually happens, Dirk, just so you know, if that actually happens, that game is over. Like literally, that game is over at that play.
Nathan, you took the words right out of my mouth. The final score with my bold prediction will be Vikings 31, Saints 17.
I like that. That's a pretty good prediction. And my prediction here isn't quite as bold, but I think it's going to show what I think is going to happen in this game. So my prediction is that their two running backs, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, are going to be limited to no more than 60 yards between the two of them. And so you would think then that Drew Brees is going to take over. But I'm going to say that we then just shut him down too, and he does not get more than 240 yards. Yes, that's going to be a good game, but he's not going to go off like he did in the other game. So I think, in general, my bold prediction, which isn't really that bold because we're incredible, is that we're going to stuff the run, and then they're going to force Drew Brees to try to win the game, and we're going to stuff Drew Brees.
I don't know if I'm going to allow you to let that be your bold prediction.
Okay, fine.
Because it basically actually happened last week with the exception of the Drew Brees.
All right.
You've got to be more bold than that.
But I will say that
This
is
is
going
the
to
divisional
happen.
round.
That is going to happen.
Okay, that's a good, decent prediction.
Bold prediction here.
All right, here we go.
Latavius Murray, 150 yards and a touchdown.
Oh my God!
Goodness! Wow!
Oh,
That-
wow!
Oh my
He just
Lord.
went completely the other direction.
Thank you.
I would have taken a 100-yard rushing game as bold for
But
Latavius
he
Smith.
went 50!
Wow!
Oh,
That is
got it.
huge.
As Nathan says, it's the divisional round. You got to make a bold prediction. So there you go, world.
I'm sorry.
There's my bold prediction.
So what's the final score?
You just veered completely in the other direction. Oh my
What's the
God!
final score?
My final score here, I think, as we talk about, our offense is going to come alive this week. I do think we reached that 30 threshold, so I'm also going to go 31. And I'm going to give him a little more credit, and I'm going to give him 20. Actually, no. Yes. 31-21. Final score.
All right. Wow, this is hard. So many of the bold
You
predictions.
gotta go bold, Nathan. It's
I
the
gotta
divisional
go
round.
bold. It's
Gotta
the
go bigger than me
divisional
now.
round. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna say.
What was Nathan's again? Or what was Dirk's again?
Harrison Smith pick 6 for Drew
I'm
Brees.
gonna make-
Reasonable.
I'm going to make a bold prediction on both sides of the ball. I'm going to say Case Keenum goes off. 350 yards, multiple touchdown day, and the defense comes up with at least 2 huge turnovers. I think one of them is going to come from Anthony Barr, and I think the other one will come from Harrison Smith, thus securing himself as the defensive player of the year. And I think Latavius Murray, like Isaac said, will probably have a decent day. I think he'll get a touchdown. And Jerick McKinnon, I think
150 yards.
I think we'll see Jerick McKinnon a lot in this game. I think Jerick McKinnon's going to have a big game as well, maybe a key part to Case Keenum getting to that 350 yards, because the Saints don't have a great linebacking core, let's be honest. And I don't see them completely stopping Jerick McKinnon. I think Jerick McKinnon looks like he should have been the one that's been talking about instead of Alvin Kamara all week. And I think he might have a big game as well. I'm going to go with a Vikings score of 38, just narrowly missing that 40-point margin that they've been so closely evading all season, to a Saints score of 17. One of those touchdowns coming from garbage time, if not both.
I will say that I'm going to give them that one of my 21 is garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, my last
Because I can't see them scoring. I just can't see them scoring 3 touchdowns on us throughout the game. I mean, we have been so stout on defense. I am just so excited.
Our red zone defense is so good.
I'm so
The
excited.
2017 Minnesota Vikings feel like the 2016 Chicago Cubs of football.
Dirk, are you tired right now?
I went to bed at 12:30 last night.
I went to bed at
That's no
3 a.m.
excuse.
last night.
That's
no
no
excuse.
Okay, I'm sorry for yawning.
I forgive
I
you.
apologize, world.
This is exciting, Dirk. How could you possibly be tired when we're...
I am
Because
so,
I am excited. Because listen,
I think these next 24 hours are going to be the hardest wait of my life.
Score
First,
Vikings, run up the score.
Skull Vikings.
We don't know the
You
song.
don't know.
I don't know
It's
this.
Skull Vikings run. No, I got it.
Did you just say you don't know it? when you-
Skull Vikings, let's win the game. No, Skull Vikings, let's win this game.
My point
Skull
is-
Vikings, let's win the game.
My point is,
Yeah.
the Vikings.
You keep thinking about that in
The
your head.
Vikings
Let's
have
get
been.
a first down, go get a touchdown, rock 'em, sock 'em, fight, Skull Vikings, run up the score, you'll hear a scream for more. Vikings, Skull Vikings, let's go!
So as I was saying, 2017 Vikings feel like the 2016 Chicago Cubs, and that we're probably the most snake-bitten franchise in football, just like they were the most snake-bitten franchise in baseball. And there's something where it just feels like it's time.
And
It
everyone
feels
like
it's
jinxed
time.
them. They were the cover of the Sports Illustrated, and everyone's like, oh, now they're the cover of the Sports Illustrated. It's over. And the Chicago Cubs just sticked up their middle fingers.
Stuck
and
up.
They just stuck up their middle fingers, and they just drove all the way to the championship. They hard fought. And Mike Zimmer is doing that exact same thing. People are like, aren't you worried about the curse? And aren't you worried about this and that? And he's like, I don't give a beep about it. I am screwing. I'm just going to win everything, and I don't care, and we're going to play our game. We're not going to think about
It seems
this.
like the stars have aligned in the fact that you have a journeyman quarterback kind of who's coming around. You have the best defense in football. You have the best head coach of any of the past, like, prior 2 teams of Vikings football in 98 and 09. that had a
Arguably the
chance to
best
win
head
Super
coach
Bowl.
in the NFL.
I mean, Green didn't discipline his players a ton, really. And at the same time, Brad Childress just sucked. And
Childress.
so
not
you
bring
have
him
the
up.
best head coach that you've had for these Vikings teams. They're disciplined, they're focused, great defense. There's just something I feel about this. There's something
I feel like I'm
No,
getting
my
too
turn.
excited.
My
For the other
favorite.
team-
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, this is
My
not Vikings rage.
favorite. It's called Vikings Rant, and we've not ranted enough this year, all right? I'm going to yell when I want to talk.
Okay.
That's not
All right? It's my turn
You need
to
to learn
talk.
the difference between angry and ranting.
My favorite video this week I watched.
Oh,
it was.
God.
Listen to me. Hear me out. I wish I knew who it was
Oh,
and where it
no.
was.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
one of these analysts just says, "These Vikings this year, you just know it." It was before the national championship game. She said, "Like Georgia, it's in the air, and they're at home. They're gonna win." This Vikings team this year, there is something in the air, in the spirit, in the world, and the universe has decided. They've aligned the stars, like you said. We have the Super Bowl in Minnesota. We are an incredible team, and the universe wants us to win. And it's gonna happen.
I agree with all your points, but at the same time, Georgia lost.
Yeah.
I know, but screw that. They're
At
terrible.
this point, I honestly am just going to be crushed if we lose.
I'm gonna cry.
We have to win the Super Bowl this season. Like, I just
it's
don't.
not gonna happen.
I just
later.
don't think that there's a way in which we don't win the Super Bowl this season, and I'm content with how the season went. Like,
Yeah, I feel
this
like
is a
too.
season that has to end in a Super Bowl victory, and then I can stop being a Vikings fan because my mission will be complete. Okay, let's be honest. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
But I will be absolutely in heaven for the rest of my life.
I will be true. Okay.
We can always look back at this season. Hopefully the Vikings do what they need to do against the New Orleans Saints, and we're coming back to you as victories looking ahead to the NFC Championship, right?
I cannot wait. I am
jacked.
Enjoy
there
the
is
game.
energy inside of my soul that I am.
I
excited.
got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on.
All right. Well,
I would pass on that.
All in my bones.
okay. Thank you, Dirk. Okay, that's all we have.
Fire.
All
right. Well, I'm Nathan Schulte, and these two idiots.
And I'm Isaac Logelman, and Dirk is going home.
And we'll see you next week, hopefully after a victory.
Woo!